If you've watched my videos before, you probably realized that I love Super Mario Odyssey. I use the game for background footage whenever I get the chance, and that's because I truly believe it is a phenomenal example of a great 3D platformer. But I'll be the first to admit that the game is far from perfect, and since its release I've had many discussions with friends and listened to plenty of commentary criticizing the game. I do share some of the common complaints, but one major point of contention I never understood is in regard to the game's primary collectible. I'm of course talking about Power Moons, Odyssey's replacement for Power Stars in Mario 64 or the Shine Sprites from Mario Sunshine. The argument is that, at least compared to these collectibles, moons are 1. Too easy to get, 2. There are simply too many of them, decreasing the value of each one, and 3. They are not rewarding to collect due to the prior two reasons. Therefore, the game is not as fun to play. So because I am hopelessly in love with Super Mario Odyssey, I thought I would respond to each point and try to explain why this whole moon debate is not nearly as detrimental to the game as some people think. Admittedly, I find the first two arguments to be mostly valid and even partially agreeable. I think Odyssey could stand to be a lot more difficult, and the game rarely does anything special to really test the player's platforming skills. However, while the game could definitely benefit from more demanding platforming challenges, I would argue that much of the fun to be had with Mario Odyssey comes from players challenging themselves to perform actions and stunts that test the boundaries of the game's mechanics. In that sense, the difficulty of Super Mario Odyssey is largely self-imposed. Sure, you could do things the obvious way, but wouldn't it be cool if I could skip that or do this instead? The game not only allows for this kind of freedom, but even encourages such behavior on many occasions. In response to point number 2, I again must concede that there are without a doubt way too many moons to collect. Not because of the sheer number of them, but rather because there are so many that feel either unnecessary or do not test the player's platforming skills. That being said, I believe that Odyssey is structured in a way that these less than stellar moons do not drastically disrupt the flow of gameplay. Unlike its predecessors, Odyssey does not boot players from a level after collecting a moon, and victory animations are kept brief so that players can quickly return to the action. This allows for levels to be much more populated with moons, delivering the ultimate collectathon experience akin to beloved titles like Banjo-Kazooie. The third point is by far the most loaded for me. The notion that collectibles can ruin a game if they are not rewarding to collect demonstrates a slight misunderstanding of the platformer and collectathon genres. I find no inherent issues with moons requiring low effort or with how many there are in total. For what it's worth, if we were to compare Odyssey to its direct competitors as many people have to explain why moons are not satisfying, I would argue that Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy are guilty of the same issues, and possibly even worse examples. I suspect that people feel more satisfaction in the old games because it typically takes longer to earn these collectibles. But that's not a great argument when you consider that much of that time is spent redoing the same linear courses for very little reason, something that in Mario 64's case could have been avoided if players weren't booted out of the level after every star. As for collectibles that are overly easy or superfluous, Mario 64 has toads just standing around the castle that give out stars for free, the blue coin shines in Mario Sunshine have little to no impact on game progression, and many of Mario Galaxy's prankster comets require you to replay the exact same stages with some arbitrary stipulation. Every 3D Mario game has some degree of padding related to its primary collectibles, so I don't think it's entirely fair to condemn Mario Odyssey by claiming that the old games do not also feature unrewarding or unchallenging collectibles. But honestly, most of what I've talked about shouldn't even matter all that much, because in my mind, the importance of moons is so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. Technically, their only real purpose is to unlock more levels in the game, but all I care about is whether or not they allow players to practice maneuvering Mario to every corner of the levels, and I would say they do a serviceable job in that respect. Power Stars, Power Moons, Shine Sprites, they are all a means to an end, an excuse to experiment with Mario's moveset and enjoy mastering the mechanics. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the biggest concern for any platformer is to have a character that is fun to control, so that players can focus on perfecting their moveset and enjoy traversing the levels quickly and skillfully. In a platformer, playing the game is its own reward, and collectibles are just there to keep players occupied, so it doesn't especially matter how many there are or what they do, within reason of course. Super Mario Odyssey is not a flawless execution of the formula, but it excels at that which matters most, and I hope more people can realize and appreciate that.